You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Now, folks, what is going on, as we told you, you have in one point there, you had Donald Trump, who was out there speaking. So while people were protesting, he actually went to the Rose Garden and said something. Let's see what the hell he talked about. Go ahead, go to it, guys.
Thank you very much. My fellow Americans, my first and highest duty as president is to defend our great country and the American people. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order.
So, folks, here's what's going on. I'm not playing the rest of that bullshit. According to various folks on social media, Alexi McCammon, who was with Axios, she said, sources tell me park rangers are clearing Lafayette Park. Park rangers are clearing Lafayette Park. I'm going to actually come back to this here and play it for you guys, try to go live to it. So apparently park rangers are clearing Lafayette Park so Donald Trump can walk to St. John's Church from the White House soon. So wow. So he wants to walk to St. John's to what? Fake prayer? Fake prayer, Brittany?
Really struggling right now with his mixed messaging, but more importantly, just not understanding what's happening in this world. This isn't solely about police violence. It is certainly about the death under the hands of the police, but it's also about the type of violence that the Dr. Reverend was just talking about. We're talking about violence. Poverty is violence. Lack of health care is violence. Lack of resources, not having jobs, being on the front lines and dying as a result of the coronavirus is violence. So to hear any, interpretation or him try and tell us that he's going to fight for us, we know that's not true. Because if he was to fight for us, he'd be fighting for us, as a people all across the board, not just when it comes to police violence. I'm just not with it.
What a joke to listen to him say, Cleo, that he's an ally of all peaceful protesters. Give me a break.
Trump speaks in code, and as you turn him down, he talked about the poor people and how he was not going to ignore them. I think he's talking about poor whites. I think he's concerned about losing that part of his support because he had so much of it when he first ran, and I think he was really talking to those poor people and trying to let them know that he still has them in mind. But I want to say something that I hope doesn't get on people's nerves. Brittany, you and others, including Kamala, keep talking about these crowds as if they have a clear level of critical analysis.
Hold tight one second, Cleo. So apparently, according to Bree Jackson, happening now, Trump is actually walking out of the White House and heading to a nearby church. Bree Jackson reports this moments after law enforcement used tear gas to disperse nearby crowds taking part in protest.
He's going to St. John's Church.
Yeah.
And you know why, Roland? Because of ego. Because he was cowering in a bunker the other day. He knows it. Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Fake Alpha, Mr. Never served in the military, nothing. And so now, because of his ego, because he has to feel like a man that he can walk across the street, they cleared the street with that row of horses that you just showed so that he can feel like an adult, so he can feel like a man. That's what this is about. That's why he's walking across St. John's Church. This is why he just fake told the nation he's going to use the military as a police force, which he cannot do, which is illegal, which he will not do because he cannot do it. It's illegal. So that's Donald Trump's ego. He wants to get into the act because it has nothing to do with this. This is a governor's, mayor's moment right here, National Guard moment. And so because that news got out that he was cowering in the bunker, now he's got to walk across the street to St. John's Church.
So this is, go to my iPad, please. Jennifer Jacobs posted this on Twitter literally moments ago. This is Donald Trump after that Rose Garden walking out. Looks like he's with Mike Pence. Let me just zoom in. You got Secret Service. You've got obviously cabinet folks and others. And so, yeah, so this is the photo of him walking out of the White House gates over to St. John's. And you're absolutely right, Lauren, he's ticked off that the story made him look like he was weak, not only in the bunker, but them turning the lights off on the White House grounds as well. And so Cleo, Mr. Tough Guy, he constantly needs his John Wayne moment.
Well, the president, as he's called, has made himself an easy target to joke about, but his audience buys a lot of what he does.
Of course. And that's because for them, we're voting for John Wayne, tough guy. He's going to keep all of them in order. His Law and Order speech at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, his Carnage in America speech, the inauguration. Remember, Cleo, President George W. Bush was quoted as saying after his speech, that was some weird shit.
Yeah, but however, as I've said before, Donald Trump has not created a new Trump card, if you will, or a new way of approaching who he looks like and how he looks to his public. He's the same dude. And frankly, some of his tactics have worked. So we're here with more clarity from our perspective that we can actually critique him and call him ridiculous, but his strategies have got him to where he is. Yep. So I take them very seriously, regardless of how ridiculous they look. But something I was saying earlier that I want to finally say is that the implication is that these people out in the street doing this protesting have this critical analysis regarding racism, the coronavirus, neglect that the president has shown in terms of taking care of this issue and the hundreds of thousands of people who have died because he didn't pull the trigger and step up. But I was at a protest. I was literally a block from my office yesterday, and I talked to people, particularly black people, but white people as well. And all I'm hearing about is what they did to George Floyd was wrong, that it was bad and what he did was wrong. They're not talking about all these other issues that a lot of the, what do you call us? They call us political analysts and they call us people who actually give the news, but they're not talking about these things. Only the people who are in the leadership or who are taking political positions who might get a microphone are talking like this. But a lot of the people on the ground are not talking like this. And also, I want to say that there are mixed agendas. Reverend Barber talked about that there were Asians, Latinos, Native Americans, and black people. There's some truth to that in terms of the representation, but not everybody's on the same page. And there also are some infiltrators. So I think it's important at some point that we remove the fog and talk about the different types of people who are involved in this and what they really are thinking about. The black people I spoke to are mad about George Floyd. They're dealing with the cumulative effect of having dealt with so many bodies being killed by the cops, but they don't know what to do other than have rage. There is no end game. There's not enough talk about the policy issues that Reverend Barber mentioned in terms of going to the polls and feeling like you can do something about this. A lot of people have yet, including those who are in the street, to connect the dots, to look at this as something else that I'm doing in addition to voting, in addition to dealing with policy and making systemic change.
Well, that's not
necessarily happening for people.
Look, the question that comes up here, the bottom line here, Lauren, is that we're dealing also with electoral politics here. And with this whole video here, he wants to send the signal to his people. I'm the man. I'm big and bad. You see me, how I'm going to the church. It was damaged last night due to a fire. That's all this is. And yeah, he hates those stories that show him to be weak and impotent. Not only that, and I'm going to pull it up in a second. Don't forget, Lauren, who else went to church today?
Joe Biden, right. So Hey, Donald Trump is really, I mean, to say that he is the most dangerous person that we could have in charge in this moment that we've had, and of course the moment we just had with regard to the pandemic. I shouldn't talk about it in past tense because of course we're still dealing with it. Unfortunately for us, he snuck into office on an electoral college fluke. He is a pretend person. He is a reality TV show star. He went to some fake ass bullshit military high school or something, and he thinks he's a tough guy, right? I'm sitting a foot away from a real military veteran, otherwise known as my favorite nephew, who actually served. His mother in the Navy, my sister Sheila, actually served. This country understands and knows what real service is. Donald Trump is a fake. He's a counterfeit. And these are the stunts that he has to pull. He's actually putting more people in danger walking across the street to the church so he can be seen, rather than staying in the White House or going to some golf course or going to New York or wherever he needs to be going. No, he wants to stay there to prove because of his ego, as we just went over. And obviously, Roland, the point that you just made is perfect. Joe Biden went to a church today, African-American church. So, of course, now Trump has to somehow, top that. It's nonsense. It's dangerous. This little show of force that we saw in front of the White House is dangerous. It's exactly how not to deal with the situation. It will escalate, probably get worse tonight in Washington and all these other cities. I'm sitting about 20 minutes away from the Barclays Center. The New York City Police Department, who I have sort of a love-hate because I've got many members of my family in law enforcement who served in New York, but their attitude is control. Their attitude is authoritarian. Their attitude is, we're going to make sure that we're in power, we're in control of you, and we're not letting you step out of line. That is going to fail. And it's going to fail because every time something happens, whether it's Walter Scott, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, now George Floyd, it's going to fail because it keeps happening and people are tired of it. And effectively what we saw with the case of George Floyd was extrajudicial justice, which we've seen in this country with regard to black men for 400 years. And people are tired of it. Now, this is the first time, the unprecedented moment is, this is the first time we've seen it be multiracial as it is, which that should scare everybody in authority. Because before they could just say, well, it's black people, we'll just ignore them. They can't say that now. So now they have a different problem on their hands because we live in a multicultural society. Right. And we'll see what happens next.
Here's Joe Biden speaking today at a black church in Wilmington, Delaware.
Deals with the institutional structures and institutional racism, but also economic structures that need to be fixed. What the New Deal did was it left out a lot of black folks, but it made a whole lot of changes in the way we ran the country. I think this is the next position that a significant leap forward in terms of providing for institutional changes. For example, in education, the idea that if you're in a Title I school, your teachers are quitting because there's not enough money, they're not being paid enough money. We're short right now 500,000 teachers. This can be close to 3 million if by 2020. What are we going to do? What's that going to do? We have to raise teachers' salaries. We have to be in a position where to provide triple funding for Title I schools. You can't only get wonky shit. You send every kid, 3, 4, and 5-year-old to school, not to daycare, to school. Every great university study you probably know has demonstrated that increases by over 56% the likelihood they'll succeed, no matter what the background, no matter how poor the house.
Folks, I'm looking at some of the feeds here. Abby Phillips tweeted this here. What is going on? The president is posing for pictures with a Bible in his hand, and now White House staff is coming to pose with him. This is, Cleo, you made the point. What he's doing is he is saying to white conservative evangelicals, I'm going to protect this church. And he's saying to all the other white folks, I'm going to keep the rest of these people in their place.
And this country is over 63% white. I remember Lauren and I had a short debate in early 2016 about that Trump could be president, and we kind of had a debate about, we disagreed. I felt that he could be president, and she felt that he couldn't. Well, we need to not underestimate things even now, because white supremacy mythology is not rational, it's not honest, it's two-faced. Some of those people who are white, not all, I'm not saying all, but some of those people who are white that are part of this mosaic of different colors that are in the street are not really supportive of black people and are taking advantage of the moment and using social change ideas as a fashion statement for their own personal gain. And we really need to be careful. We also need to take this time beyond our own critical analysis of what's going on politically and educate our community on the importance of policy, the importance of understanding that they have power in their hands and that it doesn't stop at the presidency, that it doesn't stop at their local communities, that it's a national system that we need to pay attention to as black people and take some control. I need to hear more about that, because a lot of us in this society, because of social media, jump on the popular train of what's going on without a critical analysis. People have to have a critical analysis and some political literacy about how they can make change now that they seemingly are awake. Again, yes, Trump is a trip. Trump is contrived. Trump plays games. Trump manipulates. But Trump is still the president of the United States. And those people who are out there right now in Washington, D.C. are in danger because they're in Trump land. And Trump ain't playing when it comes to protecting his ego, protecting his power, and making himself look forceful. This issue is very serious, and I know we all know that, but I do think that we're still looking at a win in terms of getting past white supremacist agendas because of how crazy they look. I'm not that convinced that we're there yet.
One of the things that what is happening is that in Birmingham, it happened last night, where protesters tore down a Confederate statue. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, we support black businesses here, and Mary Spio, Ceek.com. She is the sister. She actually created, that's right, so her patent created these virtual reality headsets. So what I told you before, we had her in technology segment. So what happens with these headsets, folks, is real simple. You take your phone, and then you just simply place your phone inside of this. And so if you go to the Ceek website, you're able to look at the content, or if you even go to YouTube and you look at their 360-degree videos. And so when you put this headset on, you're able to actually see the video completely. It gives you this virtual reality experience. It puts you actually in the room of an interview or a video that was shot. And so it was really great. And so they have these virtual headsets on their website for sale, but also these great headphones right here. These are 4D 360-degree headphones. An unbelievable sound, pulsating sound. Gamers love these, people who are doing online games, and so she created this headset as well because she wasn't satisfied with what was out there. And so they have a special code for you, and then we get a cut of the proceeds, folks, if you purchase either the VR headset or the headphones. It's right there. It's RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020. And so we certainly appreciate partnering with them on this. Many of you, they are very much, they love the feedback that they've gotten from this. And in fact, Mary sent me an email saying she's heard from people from all over the world, from New Zealand and Ivory Coast, who watch Roland Martin Unfiltered and heard me talk about her and her company. And so again, folks, go to Ceek.com, go ahead and roll a video or the slideshow so you can actually take a look at that. You get a great headset here, as well as, so that's the VR headset. So you see, you put your camera in and it gives you this virtual reality experience where it puts you literally in the room. And so it's always pretty cool to see those concerts and to see some of the very interesting video there. And so on Ceek.com. And so use the promo code RMVIP 2020.